Hello, John.
Hello, everybody. Big John's here and Paul Rimmer. I will show myself in a minute. I'm just going to get my shirt on. I've had a terrible time running about for medication for my mum. It's just a mission sometimes, and it's been a big one. But welcome to the show, everyone. Big John here and Paul Rimmer. Thank you in the chat. I just want to say, obviously, we're campaigning, and we've got 3 candidates running in the next local elections, and we need some funding. First of all, for leaflets and other stuff. But please join our link to our party. I will put the link in now. Here comes the link. There we go with the party link. We have a donate button on there. Remember, we're running 3 candidates in local elections. And if you want people who are doing something, that is the NHPUK. So please join us, donate. As we're going through the stream tonight, I'll be asking again and obviously at the end. But, I mean, tonight's stream, Rishi has said he's going to stop the boats. Oh, we all said, oh, is it going to be true? Is he going to do the right thing? We don't know. Good evening, Arlene. I hope your journey is good. Getting back to Inverness today. And whether it's snowing or not. And
is that where she is, up in Inverness, John?
Yeah, she's up back in Inverness now.
It's minus 6 degrees centigrade in Inverness.
Oh, I don't want to know.
It's ice. It's snow everywhere.
I'll leave it to you, Paul, and I won't be a minute, yeah?
Okay. Well, it's been the coldest winter for 40 years. The last 6 months, the temperature has barely been above freezing. It's been about 2 or 3 degrees most days. It's been really cold week after week. Right at the start of this winter in November, we had a real cold patch where there was a lot of frost and ice. And it's just carried on month after month. I mean, my garden is like 4 weeks behind. Usually the plum blossom's out now, but not this year. It hasn't even showed its face. That's how cold it's been. So I'm wondering what's happened to all these greenhouse gases. Have they mysteriously disappeared? Maybe they weren't here in the first place. I mean, this climate change hoax, you know, people have made billions on it, and it's all total nonsense. We can no more affect the climate than we can affect the direction of the wind. It's beyond us. The relation of the sun to the earth, the way the earth's atmosphere is regulated. There's all sorts of cycles going on, carbon cycles, nitrogen cycles, oxygen cycles. These are all controlled by nature. It doesn't matter what man does. We can't disturb this. This is on a scale way beyond us. This is planetary. And so, yet they've concocted this fiction that when we turn our car engines on or gas fires, somehow we're affecting permanently the atmosphere. We make no impact on the atmosphere. The atmosphere has its own mechanisms to stay stable. That's why the Earth has been so stable for such a long time. It's got built-in mechanisms to cope with anything. And yet, we've got now the Green New Deal in America and the phasing out petrol cars, carbon emissions have got to stop. Power stations have shut down. The coal mines have shut down. And it's all fiction, just like the COVID nonsense. It's one big scam. And people are making a lot of money out of it. And politicians are accumulating a lot of power and control over our lives. And it stops them from having to address the real issues that we face. And my, do we face real issues today, especially with the cost of living crisis. Inflation is going through the roof. When you go into supermarkets now, it's a shock, isn't it? A little lump of cheese, £3.50. a couple of years ago, that was £1.50. And people's salaries hasn't caught up with this. And now people are coming off fixed rate mortgages. I've got a friend, he was paying £350 a month on his mortgage. Bang, they now want £650 a month. He's saying that he's been reduced to poverty overnight. And this is happening right across the board. Rents are going through the roof. At least, I mean, the social housing has gone up 10%, but in private housing, you're looking at 20% rises. These, people are paying a lot of money to live now in accommodation. And we're told taxes will have to go up. Public spending is going to have to be cut. And this is where the politics comes into it. What are the priorities for the government? The Green New Deal, fighting climate change. Billions are being set aside for that. And yeah, ordinary people are suffering. It's madness. We're going to have to finance this Ukrainian war with the Americans and with the Germans and so on. We've given them at least £3 billion already. £3,000 million. This is over a border dispute in the Donbass. Can't we just say to them, negotiate a settlement instead of fighting this insane war, which people are losing their lives? It's only Joe Biden who's keeping this war going. Well, the American administration. I mean, Biden's just a puppet in front, isn't he? But the likes of Anthony Blinken and Tony Newland and Norm Eisen and Adam Schiff and Chuck Schumer, the whole mafia behind Joe Biden have got money invested in this Ukrainian war, and they want to pursue it. Ultimately, they want Russia to crumble because Russia sits on $100 trillion worth of natural assets. There's everything in Russia. All the precious metals that are required for modern technology, they're all in Russia. And the Americans would love to get their hands on them, especially one sector of American society, the New York Mafia. So that's what we're faced with. We're faced with a very difficult situation. Things are going out of control with the economy. We've got a war. We've got this whole climate hoax. And this is not being on the back of the COVID hoax and how many billions that cost. The crazy lockdowns. People were living on furlough. But a disease which, even at the height of COVID, the government were told it was no more dangerous than an ordinary flu bug, and that the average age of death would be 83. Now that people usually die when they're 80, so 83. That's in another. That's not a danger to the wider population. Instead, now we've got widespread heart conditions due to the vax, myocarditis. It's absolutely terrifying. So, who are these people that are ruling over us? Who are these politicians that are making all the decisions on where to put our money and our resources? They're not accountable to us. They're not even listening to us. They don't care about us. They care about their buddies in the WEF, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, and all these globalist institutions, and the oligarchs, the billionaires, the George Soroses of this world, who finance their political campaigns and their political parties, who bought them effectively. And we, the people, who believe we live in a democracy, who believe, I mean, we've all got the vote. We're all freeborn Englishmen, Britons. We believe that this is our country, a free country, and we will decide who will rule over us and what decisions are made. If people don't do what we want to do, we will eject them from power. But the two-party system, they've sewn up the whole show. Someone once said, it's two cheeks of the same backside. It's Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Because if, realistically, the Labour Party is the only alternative government, we really have got problems ahead. Because the Labour Party in government will be even worse than the Tories. I guarantee that. Everything wrong which the Tories are doing, they will multiply it. And that's why elections are important. That's our one chance to express ourselves, for our voice to be heard. And we need to back candidates, independents, or alternative parties like the National Housing Party of the UK. We need to vote for these people and stop voting for these two fraudulent organisations which do not care about the people and do not listen to the people. Blair never did. We never wanted that war in Iraq. We never wanted our lads to go and be butchered over there. 400 dead, 500 dead in Afghanistan. And so many other lads maimed, so many suicides since. We never wanted that. We didn't see the purpose of it, and it was all futile anyway. But they don't listen to us. We need to express ourselves, and it's only through new political forces that we can do that. And this is why we're here tonight, John, to speak up for the National Housing Party. Away you go, lad.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Honestly, looking after my mum, I know how it is. On first hand, medication, dealing with the system and stuff like that. And my mum's medication is supposed to start tomorrow, and we haven't got it. And I've been up, and it's not ready, but it'll be ready tomorrow. So tomorrow morning before 9 o'clock, I've got to run uptown. I've got to get the medication, get back. It's important medication because of my mum's age and what she suffers from. So I mean, I've had 2 years of this, and it's struggling. And if I'm struggling, then people who are less well off, who are less capable, they're gonna even struggle even more. And I'd just like to say, I know we flipped it a bit, but I just want to say that Oldham is the biggest social care town in the United Kingdom. More people work looking after people who are poorly or old than anywhere else in the country. That's factual. So you can understand how it is firsthand, getting stuff ready and all that. Our NHS isn't in the same kind of position it used to be and stuff like that. And remember, the NHS pays like £1 for, example, the NHS pays £1 for a tablet, and you can get that same tablet for 1 pence in Poundland or something. It's just absolutely ridiculous. The amount of money wasted, the money spent on people. We know they've got quite a few diversity officers and stuff like that within the NHS, 100 grand a year. It's just a joke. But yeah, so thank you for coming to the stream, everyone. Don't forget, with the National Housing Party emails on the bottom there, I've just put the PayPal link up, and you can donate over the website. We're well on our way to collecting money for leaflets. I don't know the exact figures, but we're well on our way. But we still need more money. And for more leaflets, we want to do another 20,000 recruitment leaflets, and there was around about 600 quid, as well as the 3 sets of leaflets for the candidates who are going out, who are running. So, but yeah, and thank you, John. Thank you. The thing is, it's such an important election. It is in Oldham, and I'm guessing for the rest of the country. Why? Because more people are standing up to be counted. More people are joining hyper-local political parties such as ours and parties in other towns, and more people are standing up to be independent. So, and I've been following the voting on and off since well before the referendum, and I'm aware of percentages, figures, and I've shown already that independents and hyper-local political parties are rising, guys. They're rising, and people are standing up to be counted, and it's what the establishment fear more than anything else. Forget your tourism, forget your farm, this, or forget Islam, but what they fear is the people rising up and being counted. And that's what we're doing now. That's why all the political parties are like that now. They don't know where to turn. They're throwing anything in to try and get votes. But it is coming, guys. The change is coming. And I've been going on like this for certainly before the referendum. And I don't think people were listening, but it is a big thing now. We have over 200 hyper-local political parties, such as the National Housing Party. They don't all work the same, but people are coming away from the big boys. They are coming away from the Lib Lab Con Green. They are. Please, yeah.
And it's not being shown in the polls, John, because in the polls, they just ask you the question, would you vote Labour or Conservative? And if you say neither, well, you just ignore your vote then. But the truth is, in these local elections coming up in May, and people have really got to look out for this, city after city, town after town, that are independent standing like never before. People are disillusioned. They don't trust Labour. They don't trust the Tories. So we've got a whole slate of independents, and people have got to have the courage and the flexibility to vote for these people. Don't think it's either Tory or Labour. Forget them. That's the old show. We need people power. And these independents and smaller parties like the National Housing Party, they're the people to look for, to back. Now, we've got a lot of leaflets printed, quite pricey, but they're good leaflets, and we're going to be delivering them in the 3 constituencies we're standing in. We've got a meeting in London on Monday, a big meeting. I'll be speaking there. I'm going down to London. I'm hoping to raise some funds there to just meet the cost of all these leaflets and the campaigns. So if you live in the London area and you're interested in going to this meeting, contact the email address. But yeah, Liverpool, Ireland, there's an insurrection across this country now. People can't take this cost of living crisis. It's hitting them too hard. People are fed up of these immigrants coming in, illegal immigrants. Basically, I've looked at what they get when they come in. They get assigned a GP who will actually see them at a drop of a hat. You try and get a GP appointment. It's murder, but they get them instantly. They get assigned a solicitor. Every single illegal immigrant gets assigned a solicitor. They get assigned a translator. And these are all costing hundreds of pounds per day. They get their hotel rooms. They get a living allowance. They get a free mobile phone. And of course, they got a lot of time on their hands, and they go around pestering the local girls. And this is ridiculous. This government has got to be responsible for, using our taxes properly and keeping us secure in our own land, keeping law and order. That's the first priority of government. I mean, the Tories, John said right at the start of this programme, the Tories they're going to stop the vote. They've been saying that for 13 years, ever since they got elected. He said, we will cut immigration down to the tens of thousands. Last year, it was 1.3 million, the highest ever. 80% of immigrants into this country, 1 year on from arriving here, are living on benefits. We know there's 1.2 million people, or 1.3 even, in the queue for social housing in this country. Social housing. Remember the council house? That's like a jewel from the past. Now, it's so difficult to get social housing. You'd have to wait at the back of this queue. And you think, oh, as the queue goes down, my chances increase. Oh, no. The immigrants come in and they jump ahead of you. So you're waiting forever. And so people are being forced into private accommodation, which is substandard and very expensive. And it's hitting them in the pocket, John. People are spending so much money now on rent. It's ridiculous. And mortgage payments are going through the roof. And the government have got to act for the British people. Put the British people first. This is our country. The government is like a father. A father looks after his family. He doesn't look after other families because he couldn't do that. He just wastes his resources. You've got to look after your own first. And the government have got to stop all these commitments to the European Court of Human Rights or the United Nations or, all this convention, that convention. No, put the British people first. And you know what? I'm telling you now, the next year is going to be a real test because it's getting worse. They haven't got on top of this inflation yet. It's still roaring ahead. Interest rates are going up and up and up. And this is going to hit people. There's going to be an unemployment. There's going to be more bills coming. That's it. We get the bills. All other people, they get our taxes, and all we get is the bills, And all you feel like in Britain now, if you work, the working poor, as if you're on a treadmill, just paying bill after bill after bill, water, electricity, gas, rent, council tax, and all these taxes that you're paying. You're wondering, where's the money going? because we're not seeing any benefit from it. And of course, we once had a world-class education system. That's become a joke now. As this woke agenda infiltrates our schools, people are almost apprehensive to send their kids to schools now, you know, to some of the stuff they're teaching them. And as John said, with the NHS, what's happened to the NHS? I mean, I saw an instance on Saturday night. The lad had to go to hospital to the A&E in Liverpool, and he waited 8.5 hours to be seen. I mean, what are you paying for? You're paying to be tortured, effectively. So, John, there's a lot of big issues ahead now in the elections.
There is, Paul. I mean, although one of the parties we have in Oldham is called the Failsworth Independent Party, and they've done well over the past 3 years. But one of the things it says on the page is that they're not going to deal with any national issues. This is what they say, right? Now, I know that we're the National Housing Party, but there is one national issue that needs to be dealt with, and it can't be dealt with, Paul, in one town, which is a rape gang scandal, which is a national issue, and we need to have a national campaign to deal with this. Now, if you're from a certain town, if you think that just sorting your town out is going to stop child sexual exploitation and gang rape, then you've got another thing coming, because you obviously haven't done your homework. You obviously haven't looked into it, how these girls are sent all over the country, and they're brought to certain towns from all over the country. So you're never going to stop it in just one town alone. And I can't believe that people are so stupid to think that they can solve that and then it's going to go away. But it never go away. And the housing crisis, another national issue, not just about your town. It's a national issue with this housing scandal, and it needs to be dealt with. And we have so much of our property has been given away practically for nothing, and now residents, like down near me, there's an HMO, house of multiple occupation. There's 3 flats in it. It's in a really shady area of town, and there's a woman with a little kid in one of them HMOs, and walking past this place at night, it's dangerous. It's a dangerous area. So what? Does she have to lock her doors after 6? She needs an house, you know, not a flat, not an HMO in the middle of the town centre. I want that woman to have an house. And everyone is being shafted over. You can be all for whites, but the Pakistanis, the West Indians, anyone who was here previously before 20 years ago is being shafted. Everybody. You're having all your money took off you. It doesn't matter what colour or anything, you're being screwed over.
Well, in the last 20 years, John, the government has allocated 1 million social housing units to foreigners. 1 million. And this is a time when housing has been in desperately short demand, definitely short supply. Now, there's a lot of new build on the edge of towns. They're very expensive. There's very little social housing being built. Now, Labour has said they will have a massive social housing building programme. I believe it when I see it, because where are they going to build them? Land is very expensive now. Getting the site is very expensive. And who will get these social housing units when Labour build them? They're already prioritising Afghani refugees. They're already prioritising refugees from Somalia. It's like the British are the last thing on their mind, as if we can automatically conjure up houses from nothing. Instead, the British are being given small houses. Many are in overcrowded, crammed accommodation already. It's scandalous the way we're being treated in our own country. John has talked there about the rape gangs. Now, we know that hundreds of thousands of girls are being groomed by these gangs and forced into all sorts of despicable things, prostitution, orgies. But I'm on Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter and Facebook. And the number of foreigners now being arrested and charged with sexual offences against girls and boys in Britain is absolutely horrendous. It's virtually an avalanche, and yet the media won't cover it. How can a government allow these rogue invaders to come in and just roam amongst us, put them up in hotels, and just give them the freedom of our cities? And we don't know anything about these people. They purposely dumped their own documents. Many of them are criminals from their own countries, and they've come here to hatch a life of crime. We're seeing this now. There's just been a massive bust of a big Albanian gang, and they all got 99 years. But I mean, that's at the tip of the iceberg. Why has our government become so irresponsible? And the answer is because they're not facing accountability. They're not facing elections. I'll just give you a statistic here, John. Between 2009 and 2019, there were 10 elections in this country, significant national elections. There were 4 general elections. The Tories won them all. There were 3 European elections, and there were 3 major referendums, including the Brexit. So people had a chance between 2009 and 2019 to participate in elections and make their voices heard. And we saw in that time, we saw the BNP won some seats in the 2009 European election. They won a lot of seats at local elections. UKIP became a significant force, won 20-odd MEPs and be very significant force in local elections. They got over 4 million votes in the general election. They forced David Cameron to do a U-turn on the referendum and allow us to have a referendum. And so we had the referendum itself, where the people are allowed to express themselves and vote for Brexit. And in Scotland, of course, they voted to remain part of the United Kingdom, and we rejected any change in the electoral system. So, but since 2019, there's been very few elections. In fact, there's been no national elections. That's a long time, 4 years. And there doesn't have to be another national election until the end of 2024, which is after the next American presidential election. So the only chance we have now to express our frustration is in the local elections. Now, sadly, in the past, there's been a very low turnout in the local elections because people don't see anything worth voting for, or they just expect the same parties to get in. We've got to change that. We've got to make these local elections almost referendums on the government and on the opposition, because Labour are not saying anything worth listening to. They're actually saying worse things than this government. So we have to hold them accountable, John, and this is our chance.
It certainly is, Paul. Certainly is our chance. And accountability is a big thing with me, because nobody's been able to account. Nobody's been able to account over, let's start from the Iraq war. No one's been able to account over that. The rape gang scandal, the immigration scandal, everything, the housing scandal. Nobody has been held accountable. And anyone who says anything is just branded with politically correct words. And we're just not having it no more. That kind of thing won't work now, because people are sick of it and it's been so watered down. So it's not going to work. And I mean, like I said, in the elections, you can see the map there. The pink section is Fails with Independent Party. They've gone, in 3 years, they've gone from 1 candidate to 5. And they're hoping to get their 6th candidate in May. So, and you can see the change in Labour. Conservative have got a bit more. The grey spot is an independent. I've been told there's practically going to be roundabout, there'll be an independent in every ward in Oldham running. All the 20 wards, at least 1 independent. And as well as other hyper-local political parties. We have a couple of different parties in Oldham. But it is changing, guys. It is changing. And a couple of years, we could have a really big change in the way things are going. I mean, this hotel scandal, Kegsworth in Leicestershire, were it last night. And the council meeting were recorded. And I couldn't believe that some of the councillors were still being politically correct. We need to get to these meetings, guys. I need to get to these meetings, and we need to call them out in the meetings. And I will be doing just such that thing when the elections are coming. If they're having hustings because of the members of parliament, I will be at the public meetings calling them out. That's what I'll be there. And I expect everyone to do the same. Call them out. If you know there's a hustings going on, try and get in contact with a couple of your friends and get down there. Just get down there. You'll be so thankful that you went to these public meetings, especially if you can speak and say your piece. But the tide is changing, guys. I just want to go through the list. Thank you, Arlene. Yes, Craig, Serena, Dawn, Aunt Sally, good to see you. Thank you for your comments, Bill Thompson. George Benson, thank you, mate. Thank you. Paul Nadalo, thank you very much. And John as well, thank you. Keeping the chat. Don't forget, guys, Carlos. Yes, Carlos. I hope you're all right, my man. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we're still raising funds for leaflets, so please donate. I will get our party chat link up, our website link. You can obviously go through the website if you want to get involved more directly. We've got campaign in Bristol, Wirral, and Manchester, Oldham. If you want to get involved, contact Pat for Bristol and London, and contact me for the Wirral or anything else up here. We just need some help, guys. Come on, May's coming. Really important elections. I just can't express how important these elections are to us. If you've not heard me over the past couple of years going on about Oldham, I'm showing you actual figures here that Labour are losing control. And it'll be the first time in 30 years that they really suffer an hammering at the elections. And we've just had our child sexual exploitation rape gang scandal that wasn't really properly, it hasn't had a proper investigation. Why it hasn't had a proper investigation? One of the guys is linked to the Labour Party in it, and I don't want that. I don't want that. There's never going to be any accountability until we hold them to account. And I will hold them to account. I tell you, as a councillor, no, I'm not going to be silenced, and no one's going to shut my mouth. I've already proven that my actions are making things work and things are going forward. I'm supporting the Oldham residents with issues at the council. We've had several meetings already, and I'm very prominent with telling the police and other people of authority and that what to do and where to shovel it in polite words. So please get involved with us. Please get involved.
What's happening in Oldham, John, is just a microcosm of what's happening right across this country. People are discontented. As soon as you go on social media, this becomes obvious. As soon as you speak to people in the pubs and in the city centres or wherever you meet people for conversation, people are very disturbed about what's going on. And they want to see change. They feel like both the Labour Party and the Conservative Party are just mafias who are looking after themselves and are serving big bosses. They're not serving the people. They're not interested in the people. But it's up to us. We've got to become active. When you live in a democracy, to make a democracy work, you've got to be involved. You've got to express your opinions. You've got to stand as candidates. You've got to campaign. This is why we formed the National Housing Party, the UK, to give British people a platform to express themselves and to say, this is how we want it to be done. This is why we're discontented, and this is what we want to see happen. And ultimately, we've got to get people elected to represent their local communities and to be the voice of their local communities. And then we can take the next step and get elected for parliamentary constituencies and become a voice in the nation. That's our goal. I mean, we're a small acorn. We've germinated. We've created a network now. We've put out roots, and it's a vehicle for people to get involved with. So all I say in these streams, John, week after week, any stream I'm on, is get involved. I mean, it costs money to you find out as soon as you get involved in politics, leaflets, travel, paying for venues, it all costs money. So we're raising money all the time. We're contributing our own money. You know, we're putting our own money into this. We're financing our own travel most of the time. But, you know, the added cost of administration and the leaflets themselves, we need help with that, because you're going up to you're going into the thousands then. So we haven't got a big backer. This is the thing with the Tories and Labour. They've either got the unions or big business to finance them. But if we, the people, get active, get involved, and make our presence felt, we can change everything. Now, we've seen in America the emergence of the MAGA army, and they have held the government to accountability over there, and they've taken control now of the House of Representatives. And next year in America, it's Armageddon. Trump said in his speech in the week that this is the most important election in American history. This will determine whether America goes down the plug hole or whether America becomes great again. And it's going to be one heck of a battle over there. But we're fighting our own battle over here. And we've got to, I don't feel now that any of these politicians, maybe one or two, that's all, on the fringe, Andrew Bridgen as well, even, but you know, they're still towed the Tory line. They got this new, what's his name? Lee Anderson is the new chairman, vice chairman of the Tory party. At least he acknowledges that the people exist and will voice something. But these are marginal figures in these parties. These parties are bought and paid for. They answer to their donors. They answer to the oligarchs, to the George Soroses of this world. They're bought. But we, the British people, we've got a great tradition in this country, John, of democracy, freedom of speech, of freedom of assembly, of making our voices count, of holding those in power accountable for what they do, of making them listen. And that now anyone who challenges authority, the term they love to use is, you're far right. Hang on, we're not far wrong, because we're saying the way this country is being run is not in the interest of the British people. The last 20 years, things have gone from bad to worse. Now, we thought when we get Brexit that we'd have an accountable government again, but they haven't listened to us. It's the same people in charge, and they're not prepared. I'm skeptical whether we've actually left the European Union, John. We're still funding it. We're still obeying their laws. We're still performing into line with them. When's our freedom finally going to arrive, John? Because that's what we want. We want free. They say they're fighting for freedom in the Ukraine. I'm very skeptical about that. But we've got to fight for freedom in this country.
Yeah, they want to keep us chained up, don't they? Because I mean, a lot of our politicians get money from abroad and other countries and China and stuff like that. Same with the European Parliament. A lot of them have been arrested for. A lot of them are under investigation for taking money directly from Qatar. The guy in let me just get the tweet up. There's some MP has not been siding with his residents, and we found out that he's got money off the hotel last year. You know what I mean? Honestly, I don't know who these people are. There's no loyalty in anybody in government at the moment, Paul, because everything they're doing just shows disloyalty. And I don't understand why people are still voting for them when they're so disloyal, you know, and not one shred of loyalty in any of them. And it's madness. But that tide is changing. I can tell you that because I can show you what Oldham's going like in just 3 years. And Oldham is just one town out of thousands of towns in the UK, and we're all absolutely have had it up to here. I won't swear. I was going to say piss off, but I won't. But we've all had it up to here. And this is just normal people. It's not anybody who's particularly linked to anything that's so-called right-wing or every normal people are so angered at the way they're being treated off the government. And
what's going to stir people to change, John? What's going to stir them to actually get involved, join up, stand as candidates, campaign, make a difference? You see, people now, they're getting pushed out of their comfort zone. This economic crisis, this cost of living crisis, is starting to really hurt people. And that's going to push people to become active and to finally get involved and make a difference. And of course, we've got this crazy war in the Ukraine. I mean, why they just can't bang it? Trump said, I could end this war in one day. He said, I bang their heads together, negotiate a settlement. Essentially, it's a border dispute in the Donbass. That's all it's about. Now, instead, they're using this war. They're using it to claim powers, to claim resources, to pump money into the military-industrial complex, to grandstand on the world stage. And where's it all going to end? You see, the thing with war, they call it the fog of war. It creates unpredictability everywhere. You don't know what the ultimate outcome will be. I mean, when Hitler went into Poland in 1939, they thought the war would be over by Christmas. Of course, by 1945, there were 65 million people dead. Is that what we want, a global war? Because China's being dragged into this war as well. And so is Iran, and so is North Korea. And you wonder, what are the Americans playing at? This is a typical Democrat administration, which is using war as a cover to change American society and take control. They use these crises. They said, never let a good crisis go to waste, whether it be COVID or this climate hoax or mass immigration or war or the cost of living crisis. They're using this crisis to acquire power for themselves and require resources for themselves. And they're pushing us, the people, the British people, the citizens of this country, we're being pushed to the margin. It's happening throughout Europe. We've got to push back. We've got to assert ourselves. Now, we've still got democracy in this country. The National Housing Party is a vehicle for people to express their democratic discontent. And it's one amongst many that are all these mushrooming, as you say, of local independent parties. But we also need a national approach. We've got to come together as a network because these are national issues and ultimately global issues as well. So, you know, we're linked up with other parties across Europe. On this meeting in Monday in London, a member of the National Rally Party in France is going to be speaking. So we're all fighting this battle against globalism, against authoritarianism, and for freedom, true freedom and true democracy. And we're not going to be pushed and intimidated by these insults that they throw at us, saying you're this or you're that. We are the people, and that's all. I know. I work in an ordinary job, interact with the public all the time, thousands of people every weekend, and I know the Vox Popular, what the people really think, and they're up in arms, John. It's as simple as that. They are up in arms.
They're sick of it, Paul. They're sick of it. And as someone said earlier on, at the moment, Ireland and Liverpool, Merseyside are hot spots. And I said this as soon as it went off in Liverpool. It was a big mistake by the government, the Labour Party in Liverpool, and everybody. That they started branding the local residents far right when it was just local residents. There were no activists there from anywhere else, you know, and it's unbelievable. And it's just a wrong thing to do. So there's going to be spotlight, I think, is going to be on Ireland and Liverpool, Merseyside, certainly for the government and the councils and stuff like that. We even had Joanne Anderson, the new mayor of Liverpool, at a demonstration against the people who were demonstrating at the hotels. And I don't know if people have seen it, but my mate Tom and Kim, they seen her in town, and they went after her and said, how come you're telling all the residents at the far right, these are your local people? And she wouldn't answer them, you know what I mean? Typical. But they followed her. They went right in the shopping centre into a shop and still saying to her, why she's standing up against her own residents when there's concerns about safeguarding, child safeguarding and stuff like that. She didn't want to answer it. They're all in the same damn pocket. Don't matter whether they're Labour, Conservative, Greens, they're all shafting us over and taking that money. They don't care about any of us. They don't care about the working class. They're not bothered about any of you in the chat. You are just like dirt on the bottom of their feet that they're just going to scrub off. That's what they're going to do to you in the chat.
It's up to us, John, to assert ourselves. We've got to assert ourselves. Now, what they do, they stick negative labels on us, and that allows them to distance themselves from popular discontent. But it's not going to work this time, John. Now, you've spoken about Ireland and even England as well. There's this, people are sick of these people just being foisted on our communities. These are dangerous individuals. We don't want them. What are they doing here? You know, they have no right to be here. They've come in illegally and they're misbehaving once they're here, and we don't want them here. And they're here they're like leeches on the body politic, you know. But it's March now. We had the first sunny day today, John. It was a lovely day in Liverpool. Went for a walk around the park. The birds were singing. I thought spring's on the way. And there's going to be people, these demonstrations are going to get bigger now, John. People are out in the street, they're seeing what's happening. They're meeting up. There's going to be a lot of discontent and frustration and anger and demonstrations across Britain and Ireland. Someone described Ireland as a tinderbox. Ireland, again, it's the political elite. They're bringing in these immigrants by the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, giving them priority for government resources. They're taking a mickey out of the Irish people, just like they're taking a mickey out of the British people. And people have had enough. They've had enough. And I think this, as we get into spring and people get on the streets, I think the government's very wary. I think this is why they've actually said they're going to do something about these small boats. And I think they're going to have to actually do something, because they're getting the intelligence from the police and from other special branch and so on, that there's a potential here for real trouble in the summer ahead, and they don't want to face that. They're already under a lot of pressure. And my advice to these people is, to these people in power, these people who are milking us and who are dominating us and abusing us, is listen to the people. Listen to the ordinary British people and Irish people and act. Act. Don't just listen to us. Take action and resolve these issues, because we're coming for you. And these local elections are going to be a wake-up call. John, you're on mute there. John, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Just getting dead excited then. They certainly are. They certainly are going to be good, these local elections. I'm buzzing in Oldham. There's a bit of a change. People are more buzzing. But people are still politically correct. You won't get anybody else in Oldham saying the things that I've said on my leaflets. No one has come scraped anywhere close to them. And when people have seen my leaflet, they phoned me saying they haven't voted before, but they're going to vote now because they like my leaflet. Yeah. Because I say what they say. And we've got to be really honest with the people where we're running. And I mean, my area is no different than anywhere else, but I can tell you there's been child sexual exploitation, modern day slavery, child safeguarding where a girl has been surrounded by a group of lads. There's been teenagers murdering other teenagers, drugs issues. Just recently we had someone who works in a shop approach a couple, a woman and a daughter, and inappropriately talk to them. You know what I mean? And no one's saying anything. None of the independents don't say anything about anything that I've just said there. They don't say anything about that. Don't say anything about immigration. They don't say anything about cost of living or anything like that, which is hitting everyone, not just people in Oldham. But you know, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with being honest, truthful, and not politically correct. Not to take on not to accept Lib Labcon and how they talk to me. I'm not having it, mate. I'm not having it. We've got a council meeting coming up next week, and there's been uproar again at the council about letting people into the council meeting. So right now I'm drafting up an email, and I want to ask the council a question. So I'll be attending the meeting next week. But the residents of Oldham are furious. They've been branded, locked out, and ignored, and they're sick of it. And this isn't just Oldham, it's across the country. We've seen it with Kegworth last night. They had a public meeting and everyone turned up. That public meeting were full. That's what we want to do at every single public meeting. And when the council stand up and say, no, we don't want it, that's what we have to say. We can't stay silent. That's what we have to say. Until we put pressure on them that they do what we're saying, or threaten them with your vote. That's what, if you're a Labour voter and you're unhappy, you fucking threaten your party with that they're going to lose a vote. It's simple.
What's the language there, John?
Sorry. So Big John getting carried away again, as usual. But yeah, they're gonna. You need to start voting differently. And if you vote Lab, Tory, or Lib Dem, you need to vote differently because you're being screwed over as the same.
John, you know what, John? I would nominate you as the people's king. Certainly the Prince of Oldham. I think it was, when was it? 1388, the Peasant Rebellion. The people of the peasants, the ordinary peasants, rose up in Britain. Wat Tyler and John Ball. When Adam delved and Eve span, who was then the gentleman? We're not listening to it anymore, they said. And he went round, he got the Archbishop of Canterbury. You know what they did to him, John?
Go on.
Chopped off his head.
Oh, my Lord.
They had enough of him. And they John of Gaunt, who headed the government, like the Prime Minister, they burnt down his palace and chased him out of town. And they ransacked London, you know, because they'd had enough of an elite that basically was separate from the people, looked after itself, enriched itself. When the people complained, they tried to intimidate and bully the people, but the people rose up. This is the spirit of rebellion that was in this country. They rose up and said, look, this is not a tyranny in Britain. We are free-born Englishmen, and we will not be bullied by the people in authority. You treat us like dung, as you said earlier before, on the heel of our shoe. You treat us like that, and we'll bite back. We're not going to submit. And I can feel it, John. You just talked about these public meetings. There's one in Liverpool last night. There was 150 people turned up. This is to revive Liverpool and retake control of Liverpool again for the people. People know that the Labour Party is just another racket like the Tories. They don't listen to us at all. They serve foreign interest and foreign money and foreigners. They put them first. But this is our country. It's time to put us first and stop treating us as if the British people are somehow second-class citizens. It's our voice that should be heard and responded to. And we need to take power for ourselves now, John. We need to have councillors. Now, anyone can stand for the council. And if you join the National Housing Party, we will nominate you, we will get you the leaflets, and we will campaign on your behalf. This is why it's important that we network. This is why it's so important that we have a party, a structure, so that anyone who wants to get involved, who thinks it's time for action, we've got a vehicle here straight away. And there are other vehicles out there. We've seen this explosion, proliferation of independent parties, which is good, but we also need a national voice. We've got ambitions to go further, you know, and we want to have, of course, next year it's a general election, so this is a stepping stone to that. We've got to shake the establishment before it's too late. We've got to reclaim our country, John.
Definitely, we certainly have to, and I'm sure that with me and you and chat like we're having now, we are going to, honestly, we are going to. I've no thingies, me. I've no qualms that I am going to do well. I am going to wake people up. We have actually got one of our members is actually from my ward in Hollingwood, and as soon as I started to deliver him, he was one of the first people to join the party. Stephen is called. He was the first people to join the party. He's from Hollingwood. And, you know, that's how quick it were. And that's how fast he joined our party as soon as seen somebody running. But, yeah, please, ladies and gentlemen, share our stream, please, and donate if you can. Or pass the links on if you think we're doing well. Put a post up on Facebook or Twitter. Again, we're running 3 candidates. It's not just in one area. Bristol, the Wirral, and Oldham. And these 3 areas are quite big areas. If you talk about Bristol, how Bristol is in the past and what it is now, big lefty area. The Wirral. Obviously, Merseyside is having its own troubles now with Knowsley, and if they put an hotel in the Wirral, they'll do the same there. They'll brand everyone if you stand up, and of course, Oldham, which has just had its own child sexual exploitation rape gang scandal, I would say these are 3 prime areas of running, and we are running in these areas, and we will be running in these areas for the foreseeable future. It doesn't look like I'll ever be going back to just working. I want to be a local councillor more, running this political party for the rest of my life. Until you're going to have to drag me away from it when I'm.
You're a natural, John. You're a natural. You're a capable guy. You're a passionate guy, and you're a man of the people. People like listening to you. You know. You're well liked in Oldham. You're the folk hero there, John. And we need people like you, because there's people like you in every town. And we need to encourage them now to step up to the plate, to take on the challenge. And it doesn't take much. Like Steve in Oldham, he just said, I'll join up. I'll get involved. I'll help you post leaflets. Other people. I mean, this is our first really national elections that we're facing. Next time round, we won't go from 3 to 30 candidates or even more. We've got to get momentum going. We're linking up with other parties and other activists. We're all experienced in the political sphere. We have a lot of contacts right across the board. And I'm really, on Monday, there's a big meeting in London that I'm addressing. Other people are speaking. I'm really looking forward to that. And it's our national capital, the capital of city of this country. And we need a voice there. We need a voice at the heart of power. So things are rocking, John. Things are rocking.
They certainly are. If you want to go to the London meet, email patrick.mcginnis@nationalisingparty.uk. We will have to sort of like vet you. We don't know, but there's a lot of people coming who we do know. But please email Pat if you fancy coming to the London meeting. Good evening, Roch. I've just seen you in the chat. Thank you very much for joining us, mate. And thank you, Heath. Some good comments in there, as well as Carlos. Thank you, guys. Craig as well. Thank you. Arlene, very active in the chat. Thank you. Good evening, Alistair. I hope you're all right, my man. But thank you. But again, please, people, donate. If you want to donate to someone who's doing something, that's us. We're running 3 candidates in local elections. We don't just go around making reports. We're actually physically doing something to change. And even if you don't believe in voting, the simple fact is, the normal people who are rising up to be independents are scaring the big political parties. They know what's coming. So even if you don't, you go and help somebody. Go and help somebody in your area. Look for somebody to vote. If you're confused about who you want to vote for, get in contact with me. A quick Google and a quick search. You can find everything about your ward or your town online. It's all there online for you to look at. And please go and listen to the independents. Go to the hustings if you have any hustings, and ask the councillors a difficult question. Ask them why you're not informed about hotels being filled up with migrants, because nobody is. They don't inform anyone. They don't inform the members of the public. How do I know that? Because they did it in Oldham. It was the members of the public who informed the members of the public before the council even did a statement about it. And that's across the country. They're not bothered. They don't want to inform you. MPs are getting backhanders off all these hotel chains. Yeah, let's use your hotel. There's three grand donation. It's a bloody joke. It is, honestly. Sometimes I keep pinching myself, thinking I'm in some kind of mad dream, but I'm not. And that's what they're doing to us. They don't care about any of you lot. All they do is care about their own pockets and their standing. Otherwise,
we are the voice of the people, John, and it's onwards and upwards. Onward, Christian soldiers. Take care, folks. See you tomorrow on the stream, the Bible class, and I'll see you next week, guys. Take care, John.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Bible class tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to join, email Pat. If you want to join the Bible class, Paul will be on. It's from 7, I think, our Bible class. But yeah, we're doing things with the National Housing Party. We're going places as well. And again, I'll be running in elections indefinitely now for the rest of my time. And I know where my place is, and it's in this party running in local elections. That's what I'm going to do. So we're kind of hope that in just a couple of years we've got dozens of potential candidates, and it's not hard. It's not an hard thing to do. And of course, networking, people's help. If you can't help on the street, you can help by coming to a meeting. If you can't help coming to a meeting, you can help by donating. If you've got anything to donate, what I'm looking for is like medium-sized bags. I've got my briefcase. But I'm looking for like a man bag types of things that I can put leaflets in. We've already invested. Thank you to Arlene. We already invested and got some yellow vests. 1 second, I'll just show you one. We've got some yellow vests with the National Housing Party logo on them. For anyone who's helping us, all right, like that. And we had them out in Bristol, by the way. But of course, things cost money. So if you'd like to join the meeting, we have it in London. Please email Patrick McGinnis, patrick.mcginnis@nationalhousingparty.uk. The PayPal link is the PayPal info is going across the bottom. And if you've got any other questions, you can email our admin email. But thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining the stream and sharing in that. Well done, Arlene. Arlene's in Inverness now, -6 or whatever it is. It's not that big up here. Thank you, Serena. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much anyway. So, again, please join the National Housing Party. Look at our website. We've got a lot of stuff on. We've still got the Kool-Aid on. And there'll be another edition next month, and we'll talk about that more. I should have said one of our... I should have pointed to one of our policies today. But there's plenty of policies on our site. Our biggest one is a policy on refugees and immigration, which is quite big. Nationalising the UK housing market, trans debacle, religious buildings, immigration, veterans, nationalising utilities and rail, bicycle and electric scooters. It's a big issue in London, but it's also an issue in Manchester to do with the CAS tax that was going to come in. And dual nationality, there's no loyalty with anyone with dual nationality. I can't vote for them because there's no loyalty. If they were loyal, they'd just have a British passport, but it doesn't work like that with these ones. Equal rights for England. We're campaigning for an English, a separate English parliament like Scotland. Wales have, definitely. Anti-globalists, restoring British history. We go on about this. I've done many videos on British history and stuff, and I've showed you how they're trying to change our history. and putting people in who just really didn't do anything in the cause of history. It's and we know that the Europeans were the biggest inventors of a lot of things, but they just want to rip all that down, change our history, but then keep everyone else's. It's all right for someone else to have an identity, but you're not okay to have an identity in England. You're not allowed to. Any other country can, but you are not allowed to, especially if you're white. Especially. Northern Ireland, NI protocol. We've had Jolene Bunting on talking about that. But yeah, please look at our website, join, donate, whatever you can do. Thank you very much for everyone who's joined us on the stream tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you for Paul there. Real good words and wise of wisdom. And I'll see you all soon. But thank you very much.